All right. So this is the unofficial setup for whenever I do longer reviews or like discussions and whatnot. So this would be, but it is a mock setup. I am filming on my iPhone 15. It is propped up on a box. Got the letterbox set up to my right. Got the AirPods in for hopefully better mic quality. But yeah, hopefully it doesn't sound horrible. I'll have a better setup at some point. Just trust. 2025 goals. Don't worry. But hey, if Danny Boyle can shoot 28 years later on a iPhone 15 and not look trash, then I can film this on my phone forever, right? Should be fine. But yeah, I'm gonna be going over my top movies of 2024. It's 2025 now, but like it's fine. It'll be fine. It's like a look back. No, I only watched about like 40 new releases last year. I'll end up watching more just because once Oscar season hits, like there's just a ton of stuff I end up catching up on. So no need, but I'll probably do a lot of Oscar stuff when we get to that time. I think it's around March or May. I don't remember. But yeah, I'll do a lot more Oscar stuff when we get to that time, and I'll catch up on all the prestige films that will be nominated, because I want to watch like Anora and stuff, and a lot of stuff that's getting buzz as of the last year now. But all right, let's start off with some of my honorable mentions. First is A Quiet Place Day One. Now, I'm actually a huge fan of this franchise from the beginning. And when they went in saying they were going to do a prequel, I wasn't necessarily hesitant. My hopes were that it was sort of going to delve into the lore, I guess, of the monsters. I forget what they're called. But the monsters, and just sort of give us a little bit more context, because we got a little bit of just like the meteor and stuff coming down in part 2. And we didn't get any of that, honestly. I think that's what really tracks it down, because in terms of the rest of the movie, I think it was really cool to kind of go back into like character-based stuff. Like, I think that's what the first 2 movies do super well. And I think to have the 2 main characters just be the main focus and be more of a character study with them, being complete strangers and trying to survive in this new environment. I think it was very beautiful, and Joseph Quinn and Lupita Nyong'o are great, and Joseph Quinn will end up showing up somewhere else down this list. But I think it was good. I think the lack of information still, 3 films in this franchise, is what carries it down. But I still am very excited for part 3, and I hope Killian is back, and maybe we see Joseph Quinn, maybe. But I don't know. But next up, we have Twisters. I'm not a huge fan of the first one. I think it's all right. It's kind of like that campy 90s stuff. But no, Twisters was just a fun ride. I mean, great soundtrack, great cast, Glenn Powell. I mean, it was just a summer blockbuster. I think I wanted more tornado action, not gonna lie. More destruction. I feel like it was lacking, but honestly, I had a really fun time, and I think it definitely exceeds the original. And yeah, just a fun summer blockbuster. And now for the precipice of my channel, we have A Complete Unknown. I already went into my thoughts on my out of theater reaction, because it was the first out of theater reaction I did for the channel. And no, I think it's it's kind of conflicting. I love Bob Dylan. I mix on Timothée Chalamet, but I love the cast in general. It's just a movie following Bob Dylan isn't very enjoyable, because he's not really he's just a complete unknown. He's a mystery. He's also just a jerk, douchebag. So it's just not, I'm not really having anything to latch on to, honestly. That was the only thing holding me back. I mean, like, his performance is still great. It's definitely Bob Dylan. It's just, I'm not invested in following Bob Dylan. I'm more invested with a Joan Baez or a who was Ed Norton? Who was Ed Norton playing? Pete Seeger, or even Boyd Holbrook. But I don't know. It's just they had an interesting challenge, and they definitely didn't land it fully just because of who Bob Dylan is. But the acting and the music was still great and still well deserving of an honorable mention. This was a good year for horror. There's going to be more horror films appearing on the rest of this list. This one just slightly didn't make it, but Late Night with the Devil. I know this is technically a 2023 release because I think it ran festivals, but it was officially released on like Shudder and stuff like early 2024, so that's kind of a gray area. But this movie's a wild ride. Go into it not knowing anything, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. What I will say is the 70s atmosphere and filming style and the game show filming style is just so fresh and new, and I think it's just a crazy ride. I love it. David Dastmalchian did so good, and it's kind of a slow burn, but like it keeps that tension, and then it has like a bonkers third act, and I loved it. It's a pretty nice little horror flick. You should go check it out. The final honorable mention, we have another one with Glen Powell, my sunshine, Glen Powell. Hitman, released on Netflix last year now. Also a weird one where it was on the festival circuit in 2023, officially released in Netflix in like April, maybe. But this is definitely Glen Powell's best performance. It's a very unique performance as he's kind of going under multiple aliases as this hitman, basically. But no, my favorite part is that it was honestly a very modern rom-com. I think we don't get a lot of like traditional rom-coms anymore. I think the chemistry between Glen Powell and I'm gonna mess up her name, Adria Arjona. I don't know, is that her name? I don't know. Was just great, and I think it was just really well executed with sort of the dynamics between them and his job in the police work and like the hitman, and then it's also this rom-com at the same time. I think it was a lot of fun. It was very sleek, very sexy. I liked it a lot. And Glen Powell, come on. All right. For the top 10, my top 10 favorite films of 2024. We have Gladiator 2. I mean, there's obviously a lot of divisiveness since this was announced. It's obviously been in the works for who knows how long, since Gladiator 1 came out. And I'm a big fan of that movie. I love that movie so much. It's just perfect in every way. So why do a sequel to it? But no, I went in and was pleasantly surprised, but I'm not really. I think if you think of it as a Gladiator sequel, it's not very enjoyable because it obviously doesn't ever reach that level. I think when I just went into it, viewing it as just a Gladiator movie and not specifically connected to Gladiator, it worked a lot more. And honestly, the sad part is the only problem with this film is that it's latching onto the first film. I think if we had just honestly moved away from Maximus, had a new character, even followed Pedro Pascal, it would have been a lot more effective. I feel like it's just carried down by the first Gladiator and having to sort of have Maximus as this lead character and connect him as Maximus's son. And I think it comes off as very forced. But on the other hand, Ridley Scott does deliver on that Gladiator action, and the performances are all still really great by most. I think Paul Mescal was lacking in the Paul Mescal department. But Pedro was good. Obviously, Denzel Washington is the talk of the town. I even enjoyed Joseph and what's his name? Heschinger, Tom, Pete, Bert Heschinger. I don't know, but overall, great Gladiator movie. Not so great Gladiator sequel. Still cracks my top 10. I had a fun time. Now number 9, Smile 2. Not a big fan of the first one. I think it was pretty basic, honestly, apart from the ending of the first one, which I thought was just wacky and bonkers. And that sort of feeling is what kind of carries over to Smile 2. I just want a lot more from the first one, and this one delivers on all levels. I think in terms of the characters, in terms of the scares, in terms of the twists, it's just everything. And I don't know the director, but I know he has definitely kind of homed his filmmaking, because some of the stylistic choices he takes with this and just the camera movements and everything, it just is perfect. It's perfect. And also praising Naomi Scott. She does so well at playing her Sky Riley. And I think she makes a lot more compelling character than Bacon's character in the first movie, just because it's so much more like unnerving, because she's this like slight spoilers, but I think it's just a lot more unnerving, because people aren't believing these happenings are occurring to Sky Riley because of her past with substance abuse, and it's really just putting her in this vulnerable position where I'm getting possessed by a demon. But if I am letting people know all this, then they're just gonna think I'm crazy, I'm using again, my tour is at stake, my life's at stake, my friends are at stake. It was just so well done, and I'm so excited to see where they take the third one, especially after that ending. Number 9 is Furiosa. I love Mad Max Fury Road. I love some of the older Mad Max films, specifically Road Warrior. And yeah, I think Furiosa delivered. I know it had a sort of mixed reception. I would say mixed reception. It was definitely divisive. But I loved it. I think it's very different than Mad Max Fury Road, and I think that was a lot of people's flaws, was thinking it was going to be like Fury Road going in. But honestly, it was just this vast story of Furiosa's childhood to young adult, obviously, her odyssey as it was marketed, whenever this movie was marketed. It wasn't marketed that well. No one went to saw this movie. But it was just fun. It was just fun. Chris Hemsworth is giving his all here. I loved his performance. Honestly, one of my favorite performances of the year. I wish it would have gotten a little bit more recognition, even at some of like maybe even the smaller award shows. But it was just a wild ride from start to finish. It's a little too long, 2.5 hours, but it's a very full movie. There's a lot to cover, a lot of characters to kind of move around, and we kind of learn a lot more about the world in this like more like the Fury Road era of Mad Max, and that's very cool to kind of see the sort of towns and like I guess different sectors of the wasteland. And also, not forgetting about Anya Taylor-Joy, but honestly, Anya Taylor-Joy is not in this movie as much as I wanted her to be. We follow young Furiosa for a good bit. Even when we have Anya Taylor-Joy on screen, she doesn't have a lot of speaking lines. However, her performance is still great. You could see the fury in her eyes. And I think she still gives a great performance despite the lack of dialogue given to her. But super great. CGI was definitely faulty at times, but I also look back at some of the CGI in Fury Road and see it's pretty rough, despite people saying that Fury Road has flawless CGI. Number 7, it was marketed as the the scariest film since, I don't know what they say, since Silence of the Lambs, or said they were like just the scariest horror, one of the scariest horror movies of all time. Longlegs. See, this is the thing with these marketing things. People go in and like, just the marketing team goes in and obviously tries to sell the movie, but us stupid audience members, we just kind of believe them. I didn't believe them. I'm not a stupid audience member. You're a stupid audience member. But no, honestly, I wasn't expecting a scariest movie of the year. I don't get scared easily in horror movies anyways. But I was just really intrigued by the trailer because it was very, very ominous, very, very mysterious. I didn't really know what was going on. And went in, enjoyed the first half. It was very Silence of the Lambs-esque, in my opinion, and I loved it. And I think Osgood Perkins really set the atmosphere really well. I'm also excited for The Monkey that he's doing next year. I'll talk about that in my anticipated 2025 list. But no, it was just Longlegs for me. I just think about the aesthetic and the tone of Longlegs so much. It just has that vibe to it that like I couldn't stop thinking about all year. It was good. Nick Cage obviously is doing Nick Cage. I think it's a good performance. It's just you might have to get used to it. And there's other stuff I learned about his character that wasn't explained in the film that made me understand his acting choices a lot more. And I know he also based the character off his mom, which was kind of sad, but otherwise great performance. Micah Monroe, very subdued performance, but still great nonetheless. I like her in everything she does, and I think she's a great main character, and she really carried that bonkers final act, and that was great. Number 6, Alex Garland's Civil War. I saw this on my birthday, actually, in April, and I loved it. I thought it was such a great little political thriller, but not really catering to either side of the political spectrum. I think that is usually the problem in some way or the other with modern Hollywood movies. I think they kind of were very ominous about what exactly the political doings of both sides of the country. I guess the split, basically. Obviously, California and Texas secede, and then there's a lot of other groupings and stuff, but it's kind of all over the place, so they're not really explicit of what caused this. So I think the fact that it was a political movie, but moved away from more modern political, or I guess real life political things, kind of had it in his favor. I loved all the performances. Jesse Plemons, spoiler alert, he's in it for 5 minutes, but it's probably the scariest scene, one of the scariest scenes of 2024, apart even with all the horror movies that came out last year. It is edge of your seat. It's kind of a slow burn, but a spectacle nonetheless. I loved it. We're in the top 5 now. We are in the top 5. And starting off with the top 5 is the only good comic book movie to come out from last year, Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, I say good comic book movie. I know this movie isn't perfect, okay? I know this movie isn't perfect. I know this movie has its problems. I know this movie has a billion cameos in it and nostalgia bait, and I don't care. I don't care. I do not care. It was a fun time. I laughed. It kept the emotional heart of the first 2 Deadpool films. The cameos were fun, but more intricate to the plot, I would say. More integral. It wasn't just kind of like, wasn't the Flash cameo fest, okay? Our cameos were in for a good bit of time, served a purpose. It was well done. But Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, they've been kind of a duo since Deadpool 1 came out, even before then, but haven't been on screen together apart from whatever X-Men Origins was. I think it was about time. and I think they handled the MCU switch up very well, and it was just a fun time. Don't hate on me. What do you care? And then number 4, live from Saturday night. Live from New York. It's Saturday Night. Saturday Night was probably the surprise of the year, honestly. I think I found out about it probably a month before its release, and not a big Saturday Night guy. Obviously, I wasn't alive during, I guess, its peak, because now I'm in like the modern age of SNL, which is kind of crazy. But no, I obviously did my research before watching this movie. I learned about the season 1 cast and obviously that first episode, which leads up to it. And I loved this movie so much. I loved it so much. I mean, from start to end, it is nonstop. It's 90 minutes until the first episode of SNL. It is go, 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 go. It is just chaos. It reminded me of The Bear, which I love The Bear. Watch that show. It reminded me of The Bear the best ways. It was hectic, but it also stopped to breathe, and we have like just such individual character moments that were on point for, I guess, all these characters based in real life, which brings me to the cast. Everyone does a great job. Dylan O'Brien was obviously my favorite. He did so good channeling Dan Aykroyd. And Chad, I forgot what's his name, but Chad, who also does Chevy Chase, was also great. And then, also, of course, Gabriel, Fableman's kid, Gabriel LaBelle, that's his name. I think Gabriel LaBelle does a great job. I think the one thing holding him back is the fact that he is going up against the main SNL cast. So we're not really intrigued as much by Lorne Michaels when he's on screen, but I think he does kind of hold the movie apart in a sort of endearing way, and is really his persistence that is sort of the heart of the film. But a really funny film, really well shot film. Well done, Jason Reitman. Loved it. Number 3, Alien Romulus. It was so good. What do I even say about this movie? It was so good. It was just perfect in every way. Everything down to the last minute details. It was just everything. But no, I mean, I didn't really have this on my radar because I was like, oh, another Alien movie. But then Fede Alvarez was attached. Obviously, he did Don't Breathe. I love Don't Breathe. He did something else. I don't remember what it was, but I have seen Don't Breathe, and I think he would have fit perfectly for that sort of tension-filled. And he obviously said, I'm taking it back to the action and the horror of Alien and Aliens. I love Alien and Aliens. I will not say which one I love more, but you guys should say which one you like more, and then I will tell you what I like more. But no, I think the atmosphere, again, that's a lot of the same thing with all these more horror thriller type movies on here. Is that they're really nailing the atmosphere, honestly. When a horror movie brings vibes as opposed to just straight scares or gore, that's where I'm at. That's my sweet spot right there. Like, I think it really captures that vintage aesthetic of Alien and Aliens. Obviously, Kaylee Spaney and David Johnson are the headliners of this movie. They do such a great job. They have such a great dynamic. I also shout out to Isabella Marced for what she has to do in this movie. Pretty good performance, pretty solid performance. Practical effects are great, and the CGI is also very great. And I think Fede shined using both to his advantage. And I think most movies would shine if they use both to their advantage, not just straight CGI. But tension-filled, action-filled, it was perfect. I know may retread over some plot points from the first 2 movies, obviously. They also might have resurrected Ian Holm and deep-faked him. But apart from that, I think it is just a solid Alien film, and definitely the best one since those original 2 films for the top 2. Now, 2 and 1 might be tied. They might switch around based on my mood. But as of right now, as of recency biased, number 2 is Dune Part 2. This felt like such a long wait for this second film, and it was worth it. I mean, we got Paul Mauduit Atreides, we've got Zendaya, we got Josh Brolin, we got Javier Bardem, we got freaky Austin Butler, we've got Christopher Walken, we got everyone. It was just a spectacle, and I don't even remember the last time we got some sort of big spectacle film like this. I'm not talking like Avengers Endgame. This kind of harkened back to maybe like some of the older period pieces, maybe like a Gladiator or like a Braveheart or like The Patriot or like Kingdom of Heaven. Obviously, it's not like a period piece. It's obviously set in space and in the future, but I think it sort of still brings that vibe of, it sort of brings that scale of like the battles and the political side of things. And it was just good and a great book to screen adaptation. The performances are also great. I think I was always hit or miss on Chalamet's performance in the first one, but I think he carries the weight and I guess the power and I guess that Paul Atreides should carry. And I think that was sort of his arc throughout the duology. And I also want to compliment Austin Butler. I think that's a performance people kind of forgot about, but I feel like he kind of transformed into Floyd Rotha, and it was better than Sting's performance. Number one. There's a devil in this world, and I have met him. Nosferatu. I loved this movie. I was already excited for this movie forever ago. It was announced like early 2023 or like end of 2023. It's like, hey, Robert Eggers is doing Nosferatu. And I was ready. For it. And saw it last night. It was perfect. I think, again, horror movies in the atmosphere. We know Robert Eggers knows how to have a good atmosphere. It was just so eerie and so creepy. Robert Eggers would hold on shots for so long. We'll be right here, and then he'll just slowly pan around. There's no rush. He's not rushing to jump scare us or scare us. There's just these long, uncomfortable shots throughout the whole movie. It doesn't even lead to anything. He's just panning the camera slowly. We're just following Nicholas Hoult. We're just following Emma Corrin down a staircase. It brought the vibes. Obviously, we're talking about Bill Skarsgård. If you haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to talk much about Bill Skarsgård and Nosferatu as the character. I'll let you be the judge of that if you want to go see it, but I, for one, loved it. I think he did a good job. I was scared I was gonna be distracted by the fact that like Bill Skarsgård does his own thing for like Pennywise and then like his voice, but he had a good voice, and I could tell it was Bill Skarsgård under all the prosthetics, which are fantastic. Should get Oscar mentions, but no, it was great. The performances were great. Lily Rose Depp, Nicholas Hoult, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Willem Dafoe is obviously what people are going to be talking about here. He's sort of just being manic Willem Dafoe again, but that's not new for a Robert Eggers film. But it was just perfect. It was the perfect way to end off the year. And I'm rewatching it tomorrow. Will my thoughts be different? I'll let you guys know. But as of right now, Nosferatu is my personal favorite movie of 2024. And that's about it. I don't know how to do like a outro thing, so like, see ya.